Aloha. Welcome back to Seeds of Truth Part 2. Today we're talking about Red Hill. This is an issue that has been ongoing for many years, and the community has stepped up to really voice their concern about the contamination of our water, our drinking water, our precious, pure drinking water from the aquifers. In this part, I'd like to have two ladies who are military wives to share their story about what they're experiencing living on the base and watching this unfold and not being heard by the Navy or the government and being very disappointed and yet not being able to do much about it. So now I'd like to welcome my two guests, Tracey, Contreras, and Davie and Momilani. Thank you very much for coming here. I really want to hear your stories because that's something that kind of gets pushed out of the headlines in the newspapers and on the news. People don't know the individual stories. They just know that the fuel tanks are being emptied and the military is making progress, but we'd like to hear your personal stories. So maybe we can start with Tracey, if you can share your story and your background.
Okay. Well, we moved here in 2016. We moved to Wahiva, but we moved back into Hickam Navy housing in 2021. My husband had to go to the Middle East, so he moved me back onto Hickam Air Force Base so that I would be safe. So the conversation that we had was that he would move me back down to Hickam and that I would be close to his command and that it was unlikely that anything would happen to me while he was in the Middle East. You drive slower on base. If I needed anything, the command would be right there for me. There's a sentry. I was less likely to get the house broken into. But unfortunately, we could never have foreseen that my house would be infiltrated through the tap water by the Navy. And so for me and my family, we got sick pretty violently. And we were reaching out for help. We were calling ahead of any announcements. I made a phone call to say my water was responding and reacting to flame. So I could take a lighter and pop, pop, pop. My water was responding, and it would follow it around. There was different types of colors in my water, different materials and particles in my water. It smelled. It was very strong. And it was hurtful and painful to drink. So even our ice was yellow. So there was a lot going on in my house, and we reached out. But when I reached out to tell somebody that my water was responding, I got laughed at. I was told there's nothing wrong with your water. Basically, like, there's nothing wrong. Go back to your life. And so we reached out again, and finally there was a town hall, and I was present at that town hall, that first town hall. And they told us they didn't know what was in the water, that they would.
So who was present at that town hall?
So Haiti, right? That.
And was it a big gathering? Were there other families or mothers or people who were having the same experience as you?
There were a lot of upper chain of command people in charge. There was a lot of families that were asking questions. There were a lot of families complaining that their water was black, brown, off color, things floating in their water. There was a lot of people present. I was even asking, what's happening? Is this terrorism? What's going on here? They said, we don't know what's happening. We'll try to find out. We'll do the best we can. We have to do better. That's been the conversation since the beginning. We have to do better. We have to do better. But no.
And when was that town hall?
That was in the very end of November 2021. I think
so that was pretty quickly after you moved back there that you started experiencing that.
Yes. And our water was affecting our esophagus and our stomachs. My stomach was distended. I had my mother living with us. My mother had come to stay at my home. That was my responsibility to take care of my mother. She had been seeing doctors here for multiple myeloma, and she was non-active for multiple myeloma anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we were recovering. We were excited about the future, and we were happy, and the doctors were following us, and we were so pleased for our progress. So this was a place for healing for us and for my family to be. And this was supposed to be a safe place for us, and it ended up being the most unsafe place for us to be.
Yeah, that unfolded.
So my mom was the first person to say, Tracey, this water smells like jet fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Or she said it smelled like fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got it smelled like jet fuel.
Mm-hmm.
It smells like fuel. It smells like gasoline. It's burning my throat. And we would take showers, and it was burning our skin and burning us from the inside out. And so when you drink jet fuel, it's very painful.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody can really understand what it feels like to drink jet fuel unless you have.
Mm-hmm.
So for my mother, and for me and my family, we reached out for help in all different ways. We called all the different numbers.
Mm-hmm.
We were told we would be better in 24 to 48 hours. Don't go to the hospital. You'll be fine. We heard you. We wrote your name down. We'll have someone get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll run this information up to the commander right now, and we'll tell him your needs, and to never hear back from anybody. So for my family, it affected us extremely hard because we went to outside hospitals to get help, only to be told that they were saying only to take pictures. They were saying, if you have any questions about the water, contact your EPA or contact your Department of Health. We got a letter from even the state toxicologist, Diana Felton, who basically told the doctors, or she sent a letter to the physicians, and it said, basically, don't help these people. Don't help them. And if you have any questions and you want to help them, call this number, and so we can retell you not to help them.
My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
That is a nightmare beyond belief. And there's so many families that are experiencing that. Where do you stand now? Are you part of the lawsuit that's coming up soon?
Yes, we're part of the lawsuit. We have a really good legal team. We feel really good about it. They are at fault. They've hurt a lot of people. They've ruined a lot of lives. They've changed people forever.
Yeah.
We'll never be the same.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So how well do you sleep at night, knowing that your life has been affected so deeply?
That's a really good question. I have nightmares. I have a really heavy PTSD from it. I don't sleep well. Of course, you reach out to doctors and they want to assist to help you to get better or feel better in that regard. But what can they do for other things? I don't sleep well, I guess. I don't sleep well for a number of reasons. I can't take a shower before I go to bed.
Yeah.
So that's one of the problems. In a normal house, in a normal family, you'd be able to say, it's bath time or it's shower time. Go ahead and take a shower and get in your nighttime clothes and go to bed. Not in our house. Our house, that looks like you get a case of water and empty bottle by bottle into a big pot and stick it on the stove and heat it up. And then walk that upstairs to the bathroom and take a cup and take your shower that way.
So nobody's made any kind of move to put you into other housing or out of the area? Or what is their response to that?
No, we were displaced from December, late December. until around late March.
Mm-hmm.
And they have not offered any alternative housing. They have not offered any alternative funds to help us to move. And they also put us back into a contaminated house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they changed the situation. All we did was leave and come back. And when I came back and they said they flushed our house, my house was still having
Mm-hmm.
a rainbow volcano type of like a ring of fumes that you could see by the eye. And so I knew, hey, our house is still contaminated. This water isn't good to drink. This water isn't good to bathe in. Um, you know, it's so, it affects you from head to toe, inside and out. But for me, it took also some of my animals. So I came into this house with 4 animals.
Mm-hmm.
I've had our animals have gotten tumors and lesions, gone blind, have seizures. So now I have 1 cat left. I had 2 dogs and a cat that died. Some of them had bloody bottoms. And, this is animals we're talking about. And when you talk about humans, they're they're also having those problems.
Sure.
Um,
It can be more long term because they do have bigger body mass, but your bodies are definitely being affected by all this. It's really shocking to hear that this is so ongoing, that nobody has tried to remedy it in any way. Um, we heard so much brouhaha about it in the last 3 years. The lives of these people who are living on base, who are continuing to drink this water and, like we're saying, live with it. That's not life. I'm really, really shocked to hear that the military has been so inept in doing anything about this. It's tragic. It's totally contrary to humanity and everything that we believe in. So, what do you think will be the outcome of this lawsuit? Or are you going to be testifying? What will be your participation in it?
if they allow me to speak, I would love to tell my whole story.
Mm-hmm.
The outcome, I hope, is for the people. I hope that the judge is for the people. This is for, we're just a group of people that are coming forward. This affects the whole island. This affects every family here.
Sure.
And this is kind of like a baseline of holding them accountable.
Mm.
If they are not held accountable, then how many times will they do this to the Hawaiian people?
Well, it's already happening.
Yeah.
We all know that. We're seeing that in Lahaina. We're seeing that with past experiences of injustices towards the people, contamination of the soil from plantation time. This is a long history of chemical poisoning of the Aina. And it's horrible, and do you have any idea if you will be moving away from here or what does the future hold for you?
Well, I love Hawaii, so I would love to stay.
Yeah.
But I have, my heart hurts for not only my family, but every family involved.
Sure.
When you're afraid to go to the store and get vegetables because you know they're being sprayed with water.
Mm-hmm.
So they're being sprayed with poison water, and you're ingesting that. How do you wash off your vegetables?
Mm-hmm.
How do you bathe? What's your quality of life like? Ours has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I I would love to stay in Hawaii. I have a big connection here. Um, and I'd love to stay here and continue to advocate for pure water.
Yeah, that is the motto of the Board of Water Supply. Have you had any kind of interaction with them?
Board of Water Supply. Yeah.
Yeah, please tell us.
So, well, let's see. I'm sorry. Sometimes I draw a little bit of a blank at times. My memory, it goes sometimes, or sometimes I have a hard time finding words.
Mm-hmm.
This is something new. So my memory has been affected. So when you're talking about different subjects, sometimes, if bear with me, because sometimes my memory will go, I won't be able to find words, or sometimes I can just stare and I will leave and come back, and it's just part of having, jet fuel, drinking jet fuel.
Well, let's give you a break.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing as much as you have. We're all shocked and just paralyzed by this truth that you're sharing with us. And there are hundreds of other people who are experiencing similar symptoms. I really don't know what to say to comfort you, but I feel it, and that's why this story has to be told. So anyway, thank you very much, Tracey, for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we have Momilani here, who is a Hawaii girl. I'd like to hear your background and your story. Please share.
Aloha. My name is Davie Momilani. Momilani is my middle name. I am Keiki Aina, child of the land of Oahu Kalihi Palama. I was a previous close to 17-year Navy wife until husband retired 1 month shy of us finding out we were affected in what was the Red Hill toxic spills by the Navy. So he retired October 2021. We were living 9 years now on Pearl City Peninsula Navy housing. And I pretty much did a lot of volunteer work, coordinating for the military residents there and including for Joint Base Navy sailors as being their sober driver for over the years. I have 2 sons. The youngest is now 18, going to graduate from high school this next month. So he has been through major medical problems. Pretty much for the 9 years we have lived on the Navy's interconnected plumbing pipes, all the way out in Pearl City. And everywhere we ate, wherever their plumbing pipes exist on island. We were constantly receiving medical problems within 9 years. Actually, I want to say before we found out, right? So before November 2021, we were constantly experiencing medical problems within those 6 years, okay, since we moved back home to be Navy stationed here. And majority of it was me and my son, and then our dog as well too. So how we found out was actually a rude awakening. I mean, I had a Facebook Messenger message from another Navy wife on another Navy neighborhood on the Navy plumbing pipes that got affected. And she's Hawaiian from here as well too, as I am Hawaiian mix as well. And she contacted me. She knew I was running the neighborhood watch. And she said, Dee, can you check your neighborhood? Because we're smelling jet fuel here. We're smelling like fuel. It's coming through our pipes. It's in our neighborhood, on our lawns. This was Hosley Terrace. So she says, can you check your Pearl City Peninsula Navy housing? So I brought my husband along because he's the Blues Clues. I never smelled jet fuel in my life. I don't know if I ever have. Back then. I probably have. I know I did. So we went around. We didn't smell anything. So he said, we're cleared. I mean, we don't know, And then I want to say, oh, wow. I was bedridden around that time, and I was going to mostly Schofield urgent cares, in November, late November, around Thanksgiving into early December 2021. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and I was just bedridden, sweating a lot, So we woke up by when we started finding out our Pearl City Peninsula Navy housing was affected was probably about early December 2021. Residents began posting on our Facebook community page for our housing and saying they're finding this in their water. They're getting all types of rashes, hives when they're coming out of the shower. They're throwing up, and it's not a virus, Their pets are reacting as well too. And so I'm like, oh gosh, I got to do something for our residents. And they were looking to me because I've done a lot of volunteer work for 635 homes of our Pearl City Peninsula. So I looked out to the local community. I contacted Sierra Club Hawaii, Mr. Wayne Tanaka. He was in contact with me. And then, of course, in the Hawaiian community, all my mentors, my kumuhula, and then, of course, kumuhula, Hina Wong, or Kumu, Hina Wong. So I was in contact mostly with my kumuhula and as well as Wayne Tanaka from Sierra Club. And wow, they told me, Wayne Tanaka actually introduced me to University of Hawaii scientists. And this was under the radar. We had to do this under the radar. I couldn't tell hundreds of my family on this island, even my parents. I kept it hidden from the state, my birth state, and our city, and even the Navy. So I went around, I asked the residents who wants to get their water tested. Actually, it's screened through the University of Hawaii, and to see what's going on with your water. And only a small percentage spoke up because I guess many of them were unsure or they were scared. And I was in denial at that time, but I was believing the residents because I was thinking, no, we're far away. We're in Pearl City. We're like miles, like maybe 15, 20 minutes drive away from the Red Hill Mountain. So we should be fine. I mean, I always knew we had the island water, the Waiawa Pearl City water. So I thought we were fine. I was oblivious at that time. So, but I believed our residents, and even though I was sickly. So I had to do door to door, I had to do about 3-4%, even our home, collection of tap water through clean, empty water bottles. And we had to label it, okay? So it was about 5-6 homes, including ours. So that was about December 5, 2021 to about December 7th, 2021. I went to our landlords, our corporate landlord on our property. And because I thought they would care. And I said, hey, this is going on and this is what I'm doing. And I thought to have open communication. And they were just like in denial. They were like, oh, well, we're on a different water source. We are fine, but we have nothing to do with this. You know, we have no jurisdiction on the Navy water pipes. So you have to go through NAVFAC, who's like our board of water supply, and you have to go through the Navy. And I said, well, we're trying to not go through them. Yeah. So I thought you would care. So I ended up having to do it all by myself. And the results came back, I want to say by December 15, 2021, by the University of Hawaii lab scientist. And he told me by phone that he did find JP5 jet fuel in each of our homes. And the highest exposure to the JP5 jet fuel was it was a young Air Force couple that used to live on Lehua Avenue. And it was so sad. And they were reacting a lot, you know. So, okay, so I started off doing that. And then I became the whistleblower for our Pearl City Peninsula Navy housing because I asked residents help me. Of course, I did it all by myself as always. And I thank reporter Eddie Dowd when he was at KITV4. Now he's with Hawaii News Now. He was the one that I went to outside of Pearl Harbor. We stood. And there I spoke strongly. And I said, it's a shame what our previous captains and admirals, how they hid this from us. And they did this to my birth island, you know, and something is very wrong with our Pearl City Peninsula because they were about to cover us up. As we learned, now fast forward, right? We learned in about holiday season, November 2023, it came on the news I think it was by Mahalo Richardson or Civil Beat, one of them. And it actually mentions that these admirals and captains, some of them are still here. And they covered up 2021 and prior of all these spills. And they were looking to cover us up all the way out in Pearl City and even probably Kapalina Beach homes. They even covered up the 2 marine housings. One is on Camp Smith, the other one is in Pearl City. And they were reacting too. So I'm thankful I spoke up. I'm thankful I was the whistleblower. I have said it publicly many times. Yes, and you know, it affects me because being born and raised from this island, I always bragged, even on being Navy station on Japan or even in the States, you know, and to the military community, Hawaii has the best water in the world.
Right.
But now that we're awoken and we know what happened, and this has been going on for 8 decades, I don't think so. So from my elder parents who are born and raised from Oahu, all the way down to my siblings, to my cousins, my aunties, uncles, all of them, and my island friends, they're afraid. They're cautious about their tap water. They live across this island, and it hurts me.
I can understand fully.
Yes.
That's a cause that I've always been concerned about, even when I was living overseas, you know, what
Yes.
kind of quality of water that I was drinking. But to come back to Hawaii, and again, you know, the motto of the Board of Water Supply, pure water. Yeah, we thought it was, and we were so complacent.
Correct.
And now we're finding out the truth that we've been abused and taken advantage of.
Yes.
And it continues to this very day, as you're
Yes.
sharing.
Yes, and we do not use our tap water at home.
No.
So it's been since, it was actually my neighbor. He's a Navy retired. He helped me run the neighborhood watch on our Pearl City Peninsula. And he's the one that said, D, you're bedridden. I'm like, I don't even know if it is. It was. All my symptoms ended up being connected to the tap water, the toxic spills. But he made me and my family stop 100%. We went cold turkey, not touching our tap water everywhere the Navy pipes existed, even wherever the military pipes existed on this island. So December 5, 2021 to present. Only thing we're using is just cold wash laundry. Hot water heater is banned in our house, as that was putting us, many of us, into the emergency rooms. I freak out every time I have to do laundry in my house. We do have Amazon filters connected, but what is that doing, you know? The best filter is supposed to be reverse osmosis.
Right.
We're not allowed to install that in.
Really?
Yes, our landlord said no.
Because it would be wasting too much water.
Or it'll modify the homes maybe, you know, I don't know, but probably that too.
Yeah, it's an excuse.
Wow. Yes.
That's tragic. I'm really amazed by you two women, you know.
Thank
You're
you.
so articulate and so clear in spite of the fact that you say you have these moments. I can tell that you're passionate about it, and it's something that really tears my heart to hear your stories. Because Hawaii residents do not realize to what extent they themselves have been poisoned.
Yeah.
You know, we think, oh, it's the military, okay? It's the military families, they've been affected, we're okay out here. But I tell people every day, don't drink the tap water. You don't know what you're getting anymore.
Right.
And I don't know what's going to be the future of Hawaii. I would truly pray that it can turn around, that you will be part of that movement to bring something back, integrity, honesty, transparency. But we have to go through a lot more suffering, unfortunately. And these lawsuits may help to bring some of that to the surface.
Actually, what I have been educating through my social media and in person, because I'm very sociable. Thank you, Hawaii. I have been educating to a huge percentage of our Hawaii folks, even those on Maui. You know, I tried my best through social media. You're not just only being exposed by drinking the water. You're being exposed by the tap water by watering your grass, taking care of your lawn, because if you're watering your lawn, your soil is contaminated, right? Also washing your car, washing your hands. It goes through your skin, your scalp, even when you flush the toilet. Because thank you to our CRI member that was here on your panel, Dr. Walter Chun, we call him Uncle. He actually came into our home by fall 2022. He wanted to see what was still making me sick. I was getting, even though we were not touching our tap water, I was still getting metallic taste in my tongue and being lethargic in my bed, you know? And he came in, he found out, okay, your air quality is perfect. It's good, it's healthy. But when anyone turns on the faucet, whether it's the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink, the tub, even if it's cold water or flush the toilet, it's aerolizing into the air.
Right.
And since we all in military housing have central air condition, that's how it's going through. So it's coming through us through those ways too.
And did he have any kind of solutions or alternatives for you to?
Yes. So we have to open our windows, to purify the air, get the tropical breeze inside the house, purified air. Forgot what they're called. Those purifiers, the air purifiers, excuse me.
HEPA filters.
HEPA filters, yes. Fans, and then try our best not to use too much of the central air condition, which is hard because it's HVAC. And that's something they have to change. Yeah.
She brings up a really good point about the quality of the air, because we're facing them, finishing the next stage. And there on base, there's a lot of these what are supposed to be air monitors. And the people, they believe that maybe alarm's going to go off, or they're going to be notified if there's fumes in the air, what they need to do. Do they need to put a towel under their door or close their windows or go inside? Or that's not true. Those will not go off. There is no alarm on them, and they're not going to test them anytime soon. So this next stage is really scary, to say the least, because we don't know which way the fumes are going to go, which way is the air going to, which way is the breeze going to go, who's it going to affect. And, little children are playing outside there on the schoolyard. What goes into play? How are they going to be notified? Just as there is a fire alarm or an earthquake response, what's the plan?
Yeah.
So also with the CRI, which is made up of, as you had the two panels here, there is, 6 local community members, 2 Native Hawaiians, and 2 affected family members, right? That makes up the CRI board. And when they speak with the Navy, so it's not just the Navy, there's the Army that's involved too. So they're called the Joint Task Force Red Hill, right? Well, they, including our Department of Health, believes our water is fine. That's on the Navy water line. However, we are still finding through tests low amounts of jet fuel and other exposures going on that is unknown. And there are new military families and retired families, especially in my neighborhood that I could only speak for, that are still being exposed to the same medical conditions we had in 2021 and prior to COVID. And because the Department of Health and the EPA created scientific numbers that makes it extremely high for Hawaii. So if anybody on Oahu wants to get their tap water tested for jet fuel, hydrocarbons, it's going to probably be none or low amounts.
Right.
And it's not even going to be an action for them to make it an emergency, because the numbers are so high for our state of Hawaii.
Yeah.
So also want to just say too, a lot of our Hawaii military community that lives on the Navy waterline, which is in the tens and thousands, do not even know what's going on. Or they just want to believe, or they're afraid. So that's where we stand right now.
Yeah, I think that's a common reaction of most people,
Yes.
Whether military or civil. We don't want to believe it's happening in our backyard. But as you're saying, this has been going on, as I'm saying, since plantation time. So if you're experiencing it 24/7, I just don't know how this will be resolved. I don't have any suggestions as to what we can do. The only thing we can do really at our level is to educate people, to continue to speak the truth, no matter what the repercussions are. I mean, you have to be a whistleblower in the face of all the atrocities that are being committed in this day and age on all levels, local, state, federal, global. And it's because we have been slaves to the media, to government, corporations, you name it. We have just accepted our lot in life, and we have not stood up until now. And that's why you see the world in such chaos, because people are just sick and tired of putting up with this anymore. And I do believe it's changing because people are finally finding their voice. And it's through women like you, that the truth can start to come out. You don't have to be a politician, a lawyer, anybody with a degree. You're just coming from the heart and people can hear you.
Mahalo.
So I just want to have you share a little bit more about what you'd like to say to the people of Hawaii who are watching this program. What can they do? How can they react? What should they be concerned about? Can we start with Tracey?
Sure. What could they do? Well, first, I think it's, I really believe, this is just on the top of me right now, I want to say it, because I really believe that the system here, the judicial system, has to hold the Navy accountable. That their inability to be transparent with the people, to continue poisoning the people, is not okay. If you see it, say something. If you have sheen on your water, call somebody. And spread the word and talk about it in the community. Because if you just call the Navy, or if you just call, the command, unfortunately, they like to push it around. And basically, they'll say that they'll, we'll look into it for you.
We'll get back to you.
We'll get back to you, or we hear you, but they really don't. So I think that the community voice is really important, and programs like this where you can have real, honest discussion about what's going on. We're still being poisoned.
Yes.
This isn't over.
Right.
And it's going to take a very, very long time. PFAS is a forever chemical.
Right.
What is forever? Forever is very long time. So I believe that, everybody from the Navy wife to, the people on the military base, to the people in the communities, to the local farmer, to the medical response teams, everybody has a part in this island.
Yes.
And we all need to come together as a whole to make a difference.
That's really beautiful, Tracey. We're going to have to end on this note. I really thank you both for sharing today, and I hope that this will be resolved in the near future for all of us, that things will change. The sooner the better.
Thank you.
Mahalo. Thank you.
Mahalo anui. Mahalo piha.
Is it Davie and Momilani? Oh, you have been waiting.
Since 8 something this morning.
Yes, thank you so much. Please, come on up.
Aloha mai kako.
Aloha.
My name is Davie and Momilani Thomas. I am both born and raised from Oahu, Kalihi Palama. Hundreds of my family is still living here. I was also pretty much close to a 17-year Navy wife. Husband retired 22 years, October 2021, just 1 month shy of us waking up and learning, oh my gosh, we are exposed to the Navy Red Hill. And so I am here to be opposed to D2. The reason why I oppose, even though I was a military wife, right, is because I stand with our people, I stand with our ancestors, I stand with our Aina, and I stand for the good. I was not always like this. I grew up on this island, Americanized, always patriotic to our military, and even becoming a Navy wife by 2004, 2005. But it was the homesickness, the deep-rooted heartbreak, living on Japan within my first year. I realized, you know, nothing is healing me, not even the military, one source, resources, nothing was healing me. It was gifted to me, the Queen Ōlelo Hawaii storybook. I started reading that. Then in 2006, the Navy senior leadership, that we have here, senior leaderships, who I respected, actually started to brainwash us on Yokosuka Navy base, Japan, and say, you know, they spoke against the people of Japan, the peaceful people of Japan, and we here on Hawaii knows how peaceful and respectful people of Japan are as tourists coming here to our islands. Well, they were just peacefully protecting against Japan, against the Navy, but this is the Army, about their nuclear warship, which is the USS George Washington coming to their shores after we left Yokosuka. And they warned us, they said that if we are to engage any communication, or even say konnichiwa, or understand why they're protecting Japan, we will be kicked out of Japan. So the reason why I am here is because all this homesickness woke me up and taught me why it's important to speak up against our military, our Department of Defense, respectfully but strongly. They should not have any more access to our lands, please.
Because I'm really trying to get rid of
I know.
So thank you so
But
much.
please.
No, and I appreciate, you have been, you were one of the
Yes.
first here, so I
Yes.
thank you for your patience.
I really beg our state of Hawaii, my birth home state of Hawaii, to please listen to our people, listen to my voice. I
Okay.
live both lives.
Thank you, Davie.
All right, thank you.
Is Tiana?